Welcome to TPOT, the Teaching Pyramid Observation Tool Training, presented by the Jersey City Public Schools Department of Early Childhood. My name is Valerie Bastori, and I am a PERT psychologist, along with my colleague Nancy Dean, who was a learning consultant. We are specialists on the Preschool Intervention and Referral Team, otherwise known as PERT. We will be conducting this presentation on TPOT, the Teaching Pyramid Observation Tool. This presentation has 4 objectives. 1. Participants will become familiar with the Teaching Pyramid Observation Tool, TPOT. 2. Participants will gain a better understanding of how implementing TPOT key practices reduces challenging behaviors and the need for child study team referrals. 3. Participants will recognize the overlap between TPOT, PQA, ECHRS, and HighScope. 4. Participants will reflect on their own practices by journaling on 3 TPOT topics for the Q&A follow-up meeting. Keep your eye out for this to-do paper and pencil reminder throughout the presentation. Before delving into the TPOT, it may be useful to take a quick detour to understand why the TPOT was developed. It was designed to take a look at the teaching pyramid model practices. So what's the teaching pyramid model? Stay tuned, it's coming up in the next several slides. Right now there seems to be an alphabet city of acronyms in education. It's so easy to get confused or mistakenly think, oh no, not yet another program to learn. However, not to worry, many of the program acronyms are overlapping. We will be pointing this out throughout the presentation. So, PBIS, pyramid model, how are they similar? How are they different? The primary difference between positive behavioral interventions and supports, PBIS, and the pyramid model is chronological age. PBIS is for school-age children and implemented school-wide. The pyramid model is designed for infants, toddlers, and preschoolers, including children in early childhood public school classrooms and early childhood daycare education programs and centers in the community. Both incorporate evidence-based practices comprised of social, emotional, and behavioral supports along a 3-tiered continuum of promotion, prevention, and intervention. Simply put, the pyramid model and PBS are essentially the same except for the population served, preschool children versus school-age children. So moving forward, we'll be focusing on the teaching pyramid model. What is TPOT used for? TPOT is a tool used to ensure fidelity or faithfulness to the implementation of the 3-tier teaching pyramid model. Tier 1 are universal practices associated with nurturing and responsive relationships and high-quality supportive classroom environments. Tier 2, targeted social, emotional, and behavioral supports teaching practices. In Tier 3, building the teacher's capacity to individualize social, emotional, or behavioral interventions for children with persistent social, emotional, or behavioral challenges. We will be highlighting the 3 tiers several times because it is so important to clearly understand the delineation between the tiers. This is a visual representation for the information provided on the previous slides. It clearly shows the proportion of students in a typical preschool classroom of 15 students. There are 3 takeaways here. 1. Pyramids tend to be bottom-heavy, meaning the majority of the practices are implemented by the classroom teacher at this foundational level. Specifically, nurturing and responsive adult-child interactions, which you may be familiar with from the PQA, high-quality environments, ECHRS, and the HighScope curriculum. Number 2, notice the numbers in color. These are the approximate numbers of students for whom each tier level of instruction is expected to be effective. For example, Tier 1, preventative practices for all students. Note, preventative practices are done with 100% of the students. However, they may only be effective with 80 to 85% of the students. That would be 12 out of the 15. Then we may need to move up to Tier 2, more targeted group interventions for some students. That would be 2 to 3 out of the 15. And if more intervention is needed, Tier 3, intensive individualized interventions for few students, approximately 1 out of the 15 students. Lastly, the practices and interventions on Tiers 1, 2, and 3 are the teacher's direct instruction. This is the most commonly seen pyramid model from CEFL, Center on the Social and Emotional Foundations for Early Learning. In this version of the pyramid, we are looking at the individual student who needs more support to be successful in the classroom and when to initiate the Early Childhood Request for Assistance RFA process. Tier 1. This is the teacher or classroom level of instructional practices, which includes basic interventions, modifications, and accommodations. For example, moving the child's seat or using more visuals. Tier 2 are for those students that may need more targeted social, emotional, and behavioral support to be successful. This is where you would initiate the request for assistance paperwork with the coaching team. Tier 3 are for those very few students for whom Tiers 1 and 2 interventions are insufficient. Additional intensive individualized interventions are developed in conjunction with the coaching team and teacher.
TPOT for preschool classrooms is State Department of Education mandated. Its use is to observe implementation of pyramid model practices that support children's social emotional development. There is a time commitment of a classroom observation for approximately 2 hours or more, and an interview with the teacher for approximately 20 minutes. The benefits of the TPOT are reinforce interactions that provide social emotional competence in young children, implement strategies to prevent and address challenging behavior, guide training and coaching for teachers, compare implementation across early childhood classrooms, teachers, and programs. There are 14 key practices. Items 1 to 11 are done through observation. The observation, as I said, lasts at least 2 hours. During this presentation, we will be reviewing each one. All interview questions combined take approximately 20 minutes or so. Items 9 through 11 are unique in that they have both interview questions in addition to observation. Items 12 through 14 are solely interview questions.
It's important to note that TPOT looks at both the teacher and the teaching assistant. Now let's take a look at this sample. All indicators are scored either yes, no, or not observed. This sample teacher has received 9 yeses and 1 no. However, notice indicator SR8. This one has a third choice, not observed, which indicates there was not an opportunity to observe this indicator. When the words are capitalized or bolded as with and or, it indicates its importance. If and, see SR6, then all the requirements of that indicator must be observed. This teacher must have missed either the beginning, middle, or end requirement of the indicator. If or, see SR10, then either requirement of that indicator must be observed because the teacher received a yes score.
For each of the items, the title slide will indicate the item number at the top in orange, the name of the item in the center in black, and at the bottom, the indicators with the initials of the item and the number of the actual indicator. So there are, for this item 1, schedules, routines, and activities. There are 10 indicators from SR1 through SR10. So under each of the items, there will be indicators for that item. So we are on schedules, routines, and activities. The first indicator is teacher has posted classroom schedule of daily routine. This can be without pictures and without being at eye level to receive a yes for SR1 indicator. Now remember, the schedule they're referring to is the high scope daily routine cards of the parts of the day. SR2 is posted schedule is at children's eye level and includes visual representation of daily activities. This can be in the form of pictures, line drawings, or photos. SR3, teacher-directed activities, are 20 minutes or shorter. This can be activities during large group, small group, or when working one-on-one with the child. There must be movement between 2 activities. SR4, both large and small group activities occur during the observation. Now, large group can be large group, or it can also be message board. SR5, teacher reviews the posted schedule with children and refers to it throughout the observation. This can be verbally reviewed, it can be all reviewed, it can be partially reviewed, referring to mentioning just a few of the activities, what just happened, what's happening now, what's going to happen next, and it must occur multiple times during the observation. SR6, teacher structures activities so there is a clear beginning, middle, and end. For example, an opening song, an activity, and then a closing song, or a ritual, or a transition activity. SR7, a balance of child-directed and teacher-directed activities occur during the observation. So 50% of the observation should be child-directed activities and 50% teacher-directed activities. So during a 2-hour observation, 1 hour should be child-directed, such as work time, and the other hour would be teacher-directed, such as large or small group and message board. So the last 3 indicators under schedules, routines, and activities begin with SR8. If needed, teacher prepares children when changes are going to occur within the posted schedule. You prepare them with a picture of rain on a rainy day over outdoor time. A red circle with a slash through it if a special is canceled because that teacher is absent. A stick figure of a visitor when PERT is coming to your classroom to conduct the TPOT. Or you remove the visual from the schedule. that is not going to occur on a certain day. You are preparing them for the change. SR9, teacher only continues with a specific teacher-directed activity when the majority of children are actively engaged and interested. So you modify an activity if more than 25% are not engaged. If more than 75% are engaged, you will receive a score of yes for indicator SR9. SR10, children who need extra support are prepared for activities using an activity schedule or individualized cues at the beginning of activities. So you can use a visual schedule or a cue. You can cue the child in if they are confused, if they wander, if they have a meltdown, if they just stand still and kind of look around but don't do anything, or if they do not transition. So you're meeting them where they're at and you're trying to help them in an individual way when the activity is beginning.
Item 2. Transitions between activities are appropriate. Has 8 indicators. Indicator 1, TR1. Teacher supports children's transitions. You would let them know what to do. For example, you might say, clean up the area you are working in, find a partner, and then come to the large group. TR2. Whole class warnings are provided prior to the majority of the transitions. Whole class warnings can be verbal, song, movement, signal, or a cue. TR3. Teacher has transition strategies that ensure children are actively engaged in the transitions. Transition strategies can be songs, games, a helping plan for the next activity. TR4. Teacher explicitly teaches children the steps and expectations of the transitions. For example, you might say, before going out, stop at your cube and get your coat. TR5. Teacher provides positive descriptive feedback to children who engage in a transition appropriately. You might say, you'd cleaned up after snack all by yourself, rather than saying good job. Students should be provided feedback during the majority of the transitions. TR6. Instruction to begin the transition is provided to a child in an individualized way. This is additional to the whole class transition directions. An individual child may need additional assistance, directions, reminders, gestures, or visual prompts to begin the transition. TR7. Teacher effectively guides individual children who need extra support during the transitions. For example, if a child appears confused or is having a difficult time or just remains still, you can use a visual picture of the next activity, a gentle touch, or have the child carry a toy as they transition to the next activity. TR8. During transitions, the majority of children are effectively engaged, including children who are waiting for the next activity. For example, while waiting online, sing a song, use finger plays, gesture games, or tell a friend your favorite story. You don't want them to be waiting without anything to do. That's when behavioral problems can arise.
Item 3 is teachers engage in supportive conversations with children. There are 10 indicators from SC1 through SC10. Teachers engage in supportive conversations with children. SC1, the first indicator, is teacher acknowledges children's communications to him or her. So it is okay to say shh or hold up a finger to indicate you want the child to wait to speak, or to verbally respond to them or expand on what they have said to you, but you must acknowledge they are communicating with you. SC2, teacher greets or calls most children by name during the observation. So, for example, John, I'm so glad you're here today, as opposed to honey or sweetie or come here, and not naming the child, not using their name. SC3, the teacher has brief conversations with children. So, back and forth conversation. For example, a question, a response, and then a counter response from the child. For SC4, the teacher joins in children's play and engages in brief conversations about their play. So this needs to occur at least 2 times. An example might be a discussion of last night's dinner while they are in the house area during work time. So they're setting the stage, they're choosing what they want to play with, and then they start to talk about something, and you then engage them in conversation about what they're playing with. Teachers engage in supportive conversations with children. SC5 is the teacher's tone in conversations with children is generally positive, calm, and supportive. You should avoid yelling, a harsh tone of voice, sarcasm, or criticism. SC6 is teacher responds to children's comments and ideas by asking questions and making comments. So you must acknowledge and then elaborate on comments or ideas of the child, and you do that in 2 ways, asking questions or making comments. SC7 is teacher often uses positive descriptive feedback for children's skills, behaviors, and activities. For example, you might say, wow, you guys were sharing toys and playing nicely. You're giving them positive feedback that's descriptive in nature so they understand why you're feeling good about it, why you have this wow to begin your sentence about what they're doing, and they know what you're impressed with. The last 3 indicators under item 3, teachers engage in supportive conversations with children, are SC8. Teacher joins in children's play to expand their interactions and ideas with other children. You may suggest different ways to interact or provide suggestions of new themes or activities. For SC9, teacher has extended, comfortable, and positive conversations with children during activities and routines about their interests and ideas. This is describing a longer conversation about their ideas. For example, taking multiple turns conversing about playing restaurant in the house area and relating it to what they had at dinner the night before. SC10, teacher uses alternative strategies when communicating with children who are nonverbal, language delayed, or dual language learners. They may need concrete strategies, such as requesting items and/or commenting on the immediate environment, or simpler strategies, such as simpler language, shorter phrases, fewer back and forth turns, some simple sign language or gestures, using their primary language, pictures, simple sentences, or even assistive technology. But if no child requires this level of support, you receive a yes for indicator SC10.
Item 4, promoting children's engagement, has 9 indicators. ENG1, teacher offers general guidance to children to select activities or use materials to promote engagement. For example, you might say, you could build a tall tower with the blocks. Remember to consider their interests, experiences, and developmental levels. ENG2, teacher provides developmentally appropriate activities that will support the engagement of almost all of the class. There should be no long wait times. Children should be engaged, responding, talking, playing, or using materials. ENG3, teacher communicates with children on eye level almost all of the time. The teacher should make every effort to be at the child's eye level as much as physically possible when having conversations, giving directions, or engaging in play. Getting down on the floor or sitting in a child-sized chair if you cannot bend over to their level. ENG4, teacher-directed large group activities, for example, message board, are structured so that children have opportunities to be actively engaged almost all of the time. Message board or large group must be observed. There should be multiple opportunities for the child to respond, interact with materials, and move their bodies. ENG5, teacher assists individual children in selecting center activities and becoming actively engaged. Promote active engagement during child-directed activities, for example, work time, by assisting a child picking a center or offering interesting materials. ENG6, teacher provides children with multiple opportunities to make choices within large group, small group, and center activities in the classroom. Multiple opportunities to make choices should occur at least twice in a large group, twice in a small group, and twice in work time. ENG7, teacher frequently comments positively on children who are engaged in activities. Descriptive comments like, "Thanks for listening to a friend read a story," "You are working so hard on that picture," or "What a great idea to use blocks to build a castle." This should be done in the moment while the activity is going on. ENG8, teacher assists individual children who are exhibiting challenging behavior within an activity to become actively engaged. In this instance, the child must become re-engaged. Challenging behavior will be discussed more in future slides. ENG9, teacher modifies instruction or activity when children lose interest in large group or small group activities. For those who lose interest in an activity, the teacher should slightly modify or adjust the activity to help them re-engage.
Item 5, providing directions. There are 7 indicators for item 5, PD 1 through PD 7. The first indicator, PD 1, is teacher uses directions that are simple, short, and specific. For example, pick up the toy and come to the door, or find a partner and sit at the table. PD 2 is teacher uses directions to tell children what to do rather than what not to do. So for this, just avoid using don't or stop. Just tell them what you want them to do. PD 3 is teacher consistently provides positive, descriptive feedback to children who follow directions. For example, rather than just saying, "Good job," you can say, "You and your friends helped each other clean up the blocks." For the middle indicators of item 5, providing directions, PD 4 is teacher describes the activity expectations to children prior to or at the beginning of an activity. So instead of saying, "Today we're painting butterflies with different colors," you might say, "Put on your smock before you paint. Then use paint brushes to get some paint to make butterflies." So you're describing the expectation, you're doing it prior to the activity, or at least at the beginning of the activity. PD 5 is teacher directs children who are withdrawn, distracted, or off task to more productive activities. This should happen more often than not and does not have to work to receive a yes. For example, you might say, "You chose block area today. Why don't you go to the block area and see what you can find to play?" So you're redirecting the child to something they had planned to do. PD 6, the teacher checks in with children to make sure they understand the directions. Checking in could be as simple as saying, "Are you ready?" or "Do you understand?" They could be more detailed, like at cleanup time, you might say, "Put materials in the appropriate places and then go to the book area and read quietly." And then you say, "What did I say?" So it gives the child an opportunity to tell you back what you said to them. PD 7, the teacher individualizes the directions for children who need more support. For example, they might need an additional prompt, a nonverbal prompt along with a verbal direction, or a picture prompt. So you may break down the directions into smaller steps. You might add gestures to the repeated prompts. Item 6 is collaborative teaming. There are 9 indicators for item 6, ranging from CT1 through CT9. CT1, all adults are engaged with children during classroom activities or routines. Engagement can be preparing for activities, talking with parents, observing, taking anecdotes, collecting data or assessment information. So both the teacher and the teacher aide or teacher assistant should be engaged in these activities. CT2, the tone of adult voices is positive with one another. Speak positively to each other. The children are listening to you, modeling how we talk to our friends. CT3, the classroom runs smoothly with all adults appearing to know what they are supposed to be doing throughout the observation. You should operate like a well-oiled machine and know what to do, both of you. CT4, all adults who enter the classroom engage with children, including related service personnel and administrators. So all adults must acknowledge the children speaking to them and engage in activities with them. If they're not quietly delivering materials or doing something like the janitor making a repair or the speech therapist working in a push-in setting to do speech therapy. Or when PERT is there to do the observation, the children are told that we're just there to observe and we're not going to interact on that particular day during that particular period of the 2-hour observation. Now, CT5, almost all interactions between adults are related to children or the classroom activities. So interactions should be positive and related to the children or to the classroom, not about what you saw on TV last night, what you did over the weekend. However, this does not apply to our interactions with family members of the children. So the end indicators of item 6, collaborative teaming, are CT6. There is evidence that roles are shared among adults during the observation. Both the teacher and the teacher aide or teacher assistant have complementary roles. They're both leading, both cleaning, preparing, and both talking to families. CT7, all adults provide instruction at some point during the observation. So both the teacher and the teacher aide or assistant lead a small group, join in play, and have extended conversations at work time, except for therapists or other people that come in to do something quietly and leave, like say the janitor. Now, CT8, adults give positive feedback to each other about something that is going well with a child or in the classroom. So there should be a total of 2 positive comments, not just nice comments, positive comments about something that has gone well in the classroom, or a positive comment about an interaction. For example, I really like how you arranged the block area today, or showing Wendy the visual schedule during message board was a good strategy to support her transition. CT9, this should happen regularly. So CT9 is children initiate positive interactions with all adults at some point during the observations. So this should happen regularly with all staff, both the teacher and the teacher assistant. So some children, they must initiate with each adult, both the teacher and the teacher aide. So some of the children have to interact in a positive way with both the teacher and the teacher aide during the observation.
Before moving forward to item 7, I would like to point out that on the slide, items 7 through item 11 have so much overlap that they could almost be taught as cluster skills, as so many of these skills spill over and affect the others. Item 7, Teaching Behavior Expectations, has 7 indicators. Indicator 1, TBE1. Teacher has posted behavior expectations or rules that are positively stated, includes a visual, and are limited in number. Instead of saying no running, you might say use walking feet. And remember, no more than 5 rules. It might be important to note here, if you do not get credit for this indicator, it will have a domino effect and you will not receive credit for the remaining 6. TBE2, posted behavior expectations or rules are reviewed with the children during large group or small group activities. Make a point to review the posted rules either during large group, message board, or small group, possibly both. TBE3, children are reminded of posted behavior expectations or rules throughout the observation. This should happen several times. For example, you might say, when we go to work time, I want everyone to remember to be a friend and share the toys. Remember our classroom rules. TBE4, teacher provides instruction or reminders on posted behavior expectation or rules to individual children during play or within small group activities. Set up opportunities for children to share a toy and explicitly talk about how the children share the toys and relate this sharing to the posted rules or behavior expectations. TBE5, teacher comments on appropriate child behavior, linking the behavior to the posted rules or expectations. Linking should be for more positive than negative behaviors. For example, to positively acknowledge the child, you might say, you are being a good team player, or you are being safe. TBE6, throughout the observation, teacher provides specific positive feedback to children on meeting posted behavior expectations or rules. Mention to the children that they are following the rule or behavior expectation. Give positive, descriptive, and specific feedback to children about their behavior, and, most importantly, relate it back to the classroom rules. For example, you may say, when you help your friends pick up the toys, you are being a team player. That's one of our classroom rules. TBE7, teacher facilitates discussions where children are involved in critically thinking about posted behavior expectations or rules and their importance in the classroom. Help explain an interaction by asking questions in a positive tone without blame. For example, you might say, what could have happened if you did not share the toys? How would that make them feel? How did you feel when you shared your toys? Which one meets the teaching behavior expectations criteria and why? Pick one, either the rules or the expectations. We will discuss it at our follow-up meeting session.
Item 8, teaching social skills and emotional competencies, has 8 indicators ranging from TSC1 to TSC8. The first few indicators under item 8, teaching social skills and emotional competencies, are TC1. Teacher uses naturally occurring opportunities across the day to teach social skills or emotional competencies. You can ask, "How are you feeling today?" You might show the children how to ask a friend for help by gently tapping a friend on the arm, saying, "Now you ask your friend, would you help me?" I have teachers who do a check-in every morning when the children first come in. They circle on a little chart what emotion the child is feeling that day. TSC2, the teacher structures activities or opportunities for children to work together. You might say, "Find a friend to make a friendship picture with," or "Choose a friend with whom you want to read a book." TSC3, teacher uses a variety of strategies to help the children learn the concept associated with specific skills. Examples of strategies include discussion, role play, talking, mentioning the social skill. You might say, "Today, I saw Jack and Jill playing together and helping each other." Or, "During work time, some children were painting a picture together in the art area." So you're reinforcing their friendship skills by saying the details of the specific skills that they have practiced. The middle indicators for item 8, teaching social skills and emotional competencies, are TSC4. Teacher uses small group or large group activities to teach social skills or emotional competencies. For example, friendship skills, problem solving, emotional literacy. They're looking for you to teach the skill rather than talk. For example, going through the 5 problem-solving steps. 1, identify the problem. 2, think about possible solutions. 3, consider what outcomes of solutions might be. 4, try a solution. 5, evaluate how solution worked for solving the problem. For TSC5, the teacher models expected social skills and emotional competencies while describing his or her own behavior. So you mention how you feel. For example, you may say, "I am happy because you are all sitting so nicely on the rug." Or, "I'm sharing crayons with my friends." TSC6, the teacher comments positively and descriptively on children who are using social skills and expressing their emotions in appropriate ways. For example, a social skill like taking turns. You might say, "Wow, you are really working together to build a house." Or, "Eric, Noah looked so happy because you helped him pick up his toys." Or, "Jace, thank you for asking for a turn with the broom." Or, "Matilda had a good solution when she got mad. She walked away." The last couple of indicators for item 8, teaching social skills and emotional competencies are TSC 7. Teacher helps children reflect on their use of social skills or emotional competencies, either individually or in groups. So ask questions about their feelings or how they get along to help them reflect individually or in groups. So for example, you might say, "What did you do today when your friend was lonely during work time? Tell me what you did today when you wanted the toy Jeff had. Was that a good solution?" So you're asking them to look back on what they did and evaluate whether the solution they chose was a good solution that they might want to use again, or a solution that did not work and that they might not want to use again, at least not in that situation. Item 9 is teaching friendship skills. Item 9 has 9 indicators ranging from FR1 through FR9. The first few indicators under item 9, teaching friendship skills, are FR1, the teacher encourages children to play together. You want to bring groups of children together so they get the idea that playing together is desirable. You can suggest play activities and comment on how to play together. FR2. Teacher comments positively and descriptively on children who are working together, helping each other, or engaging in other friendship behaviors. For example, you may say, "Wow, look at you. I see everyone is being a good friend and taking turns with the train." FR3, the teacher uses a variety of strategies and materials, such as discussion, puppets, books, in small group or large group activities to teach friendship skills. For example, helping others, taking turns, organizing play. So for this, they're looking for 2 materials mentioned, like discussion and puppets, or puppets and books, or discussion and books, or what other materials you might use. So 2 materials and 2 strategies. For example, give Emily the shovel and you take the bucket. You can share. Or look at the picture of the 2 children. One has a truck and one doesn't. What can she do to get the child to play with her? What can she do? The middle indicators for item 9, teaching friendship skills, are FR4, teacher provides children with planned opportunities to practice friendship skills, such as role-playing or pairing up with a buddy. So after reading books about friendship skills, you can use the recommendations listed on the slide, like the role-playing or the pairing up with a buddy, or playing friendship games. For FR5, teacher explicitly teaches or prompts individual children how to initiate and respond to their peers. This is the teacher showing them and then giving them a response to use with their peers. For example, you may say, if you want to play, you can tap your friend's shoulder. Or, he is giving you a car, so he wants you to play cars with him. FR6, the teacher provides individualized assistance to help the children maintain interactions, multiple interactions and exchanges with their peers. So there must be 3 or more exchanges between the children to score a yes. And you work with the child on speaking to another child. You may need to help the child use a visual aid or a communication device. The last few indicators under item 9, teaching friendship skills, are FR7, the teacher uses a variety of strategies, for example, peer buddies or structuring activities, to support peers in helping their friends learn and practice social skills. Again, a variety means 2 strategies, at least 2 strategies. You would structure play routine to make sure that each child has a role and can engage, take turns, and exchange materials. FR8, the teacher models friendship skills in interactions with children or other adults. So to obtain a yes, you must label something that you do as being a friendship skill. For example, you may say, I am being a good friend. I am waiting patiently for my turn. Or, I am being thoughtful. I let Joellen take the first turn. So what you're doing is you're modeling it in your own interaction so that the children will mimic you. FR9, teacher supports children in reflecting on interactions with peers, with children doing most of the talking. So you want to pose questions to the child or the children to reflect on their interactions with their peers. You might use gestures or sign language with or without verbal ability. So like if a child doesn't have the verbal ability to do this reflecting, you might use pictures, you might use gestures or sign language to help them communicate or reflect on their friendship skills.
Item 9, interview questions. Teaching friendship skills. 1. Tell me how you teach or help children learn how to be friends. 2. What skills do you teach? 3. What strategies and materials do you use? 4. How do you individualize instruction around friendship skills for those specific children? Please give me a few examples. Notice the to-do, paper and pencil in the bottom right-hand corner. Item 10. Teaching children to express emotions has 8 indicators. Indicator 1, TEE1. Teacher uses a variety of strategies to teach children about emotion words. In terms of variety, they are looking for at least 2 strategies or 2 different types of materials. For example, talking about emotion words, reading books with emotion words, drawing pictures, using puppets to talk about emotion words, and/or commenting on child's emotions or facial expressions using emotion words. TEE2. Teacher teaches about a variety of both positive and negative emotions. You must mention at least 2 positive emotions like happy, proud, excited, glad, and at least 2 negative emotions. For example, sad, angry, mad, lonely. TEE3. Teacher uses a variety of strategies to teach children how to recognize emotions in themselves and others. This can be done through planned lessons with whole group discussion of different emotions, both positive and negative. You can have children identify their emotions at the start of the day on a classroom chart, read stories about emotions, and help them talk about their emotions and others' emotions. TEE4. Teacher validates children's emotions by labeling them and helping children talk about their emotions. You might say, I know you are sad. I can tell you are excited. I know you are mad, and this is really hard for you. And help them talk about their emotions. Tell me why you are sad. What made you sad? What can you do when you are so excited? TEE5. Teacher provides children with strategies to use when they are angry to calm down. You may prompt children to take a break. Use the turtle technique. You may say, find something to calm you down, look at a book, go to the listening center, work in the art area, think of something that makes you feel calm, find a favorite toy, or just walk away. TEE6. Teacher models or labels their own emotions or appropriate ways to express emotions. For example, you may say, I am feeling sad today. It makes me happy when someone offers me help with my project. When I'm mad, I like to sit by myself until I feel better. When I am lonely, I like to ask a friend to read a book with me. And when I'm scared, I find a teacher. TEE7. Teacher uses a variety of strategies to teach children how to respond to other children's emotions. This may include labeling the other child's emotions. This may also include offering to help a child feeling badly, sharing a toy with a child who is sad, or asking a friend who is lonely to play. TEE8. Teacher individualizes instruction on emotions based on children's developmental needs. Procedures and materials vary across children. You are supporting an individual child in ways that are additional and different than the supports provided to a group of children. You may talk about emotion words with the group during message board, but then with an individual child, walk the child through using the word in context of play when the child is experiencing that emotion. You may also read emotion books to that child or make an emotional book with the child. Item 10, interview questions. Teaching children to express emotions. 1. Tell me how you teach or help children recognize and deal with emotions. 2. Give me some examples of the range of emotions you teach or help children learn? 3. What strategies do you use? What materials do you use? 4. Tell me how you teach or help children deal with anger. 5. What strategies do you use? What materials do you use? 6. How do you individualize instruction around emotions for specific children? Please give me a few examples. Item 11, teaching problem solving, has 9 indicators. Indicator 1, TPS1. Teacher supports children as they work through the problem-solving process in naturally occurring situations. Typical situations occur during work time, outside time, transitions, or one-to-one interactions. If arguing over a toy, you might say, if you both want that toy, you could take turns, trade, or choose to do something else. What do you want to do? You can talk or demonstrate the problem-solving steps. TPS2. Teacher engages children in generating solutions to common classroom problems. Ask the child possible solutions to typical classroom problems. You might say, we only have one cracker and 2 children want it. What could we do? Or, it's time to clean up and Abe is not finished with his picture. What could he do? TPS 3. Teacher explicitly teaches problem-solving steps using visuals. They are referring to teaching all 5 problem-solving steps with pictures that are on the NCPMI or CEPHL website, or even the HighScope 6 steps to conflict resolution, which are coming up in the next few slides. Here are the 5 steps to teaching problem solving from the National Center for Pyramid Model Innovations. 1. Identify the problem. 2. Think about possible solutions. 3. Consider what outcomes of possible solutions may be. 4. Try a solution. And 5. Evaluate how the solution worked for solving the problem. This is HighScope's steps in resolving conflicts. Number 1. Approach calmly, stopping any hurtful actions. Place yourself between the children on their level. Use a calm voice and gently touch. Remain neutral rather than take sides. Number 2. Acknowledge children's feelings. Let children know you need to hold any object in question. You may say, "You look really upset." Number 3. Gather information. You may ask, "What's the problem?" Number 4. Restate the problem. So the problem is? Number 5. Ask for ideas for solutions and choose one together. Encourage children to think of a solution. You may say, "What can we do to solve this problem?" Number 6. Be prepared to give follow-up support. Stay near to the children. And you can say, "You solved the problem." TPS 4. Teacher provides visual reminders about problem-solving steps or possible solutions. The teacher reminds children about the behavior expectations and by showing them visuals or pointing to the poster of problem-solving steps, or using the solution cards. You are expected to remind them of at least some of the steps. TPS 5. Teacher notes problem situations and uses those as examples during group situations to talk about how to solve problems. Discuss examples of problem situations that have occurred during another time of the day, and use those real-life examples to teach children about how to use the problem-solving steps in the future. Talking about the problems during recall time might go something like this. Today I saw children taking toys away from their friends. Next time this happens, what are some things you can do when you want a toy that another child has? TPS 6. Teacher comments on and recognizes children who have been good problem solvers. Using positive descriptive feedback aloud in the class. Acknowledge the child by name as a good problem solver. For example, today when Tish wanted the computer, she told her friends on the computer to come get her when she was finished. Or, when Rahi wanted to use the puzzle Jake had, he asked him for the puzzle. When Jake wouldn't give it to him, he found something else to do. Use it as an example to share with the other children about how they can also become good problem solvers. TPS 7. Teacher helps children reflect on their own use of problem solving. Ask the children questions to evaluate their own solutions. For example, did the solution work? Was it okay? TPS 8. Teacher individualizes instructions on problem solving based on children's individual needs. You may need to use a different process or materials to individualize. You might say, I have problem solving steps on a ring. Then use the ring to guide the child through each step and prompt the child to do the action they selected. For example, Raya is upset because she wants to play with the computer and two children are already at the computer. What could she do? Choose one of the actions. Share, take turns, or find something else to play with. TPS 9. Teacher uses problem solving in interactions with children and models problem solving steps. Demonstrate at least two of the problem solving steps. I have a problem. This is what I'm going to do to solve it. Now I'm going to do it. The teacher does the solution for the child to see. For example, you might say, I have a problem. I want to play at the water table, but there are already 4 children there. What could I do? I think I will go play in the block area until someone is finished playing at the water table. Then you, the teacher, go to the block area and begin playing with the children there. Item 11, interview questions. Teaching problem solving. 1. Tell me how you teach or help children learn how to solve common social problems in the classroom. Example, when one child has a toy that another child wants, or when a child wants a turn at the computer but another child is there. 2. What strategies do you use? What materials do you use? 3. Describe what you teach children to do when they have a social or emotional problem. 4. How do you individualize instruction around problem solving for specific children? Please give me a few examples. Note the to-do, paper and pencil.
Item 12, interventions for children with persistent, challenging behavior, has 5 indicators, PCB1 through PCB5. This is done through interview questions only. Item 12 interview questions are related to interventions for children with persistent, challenging behavior. 1. What do you do when children have persistent and challenging behavior? 2, what steps do you go through to get support for these children? 3, what is your role in the process of developing a behavior plan for these children? 4, what is your role in implementing the plan? And tell me how you know if the plan is working. So basically, I'm asking you to think about these questions and be prepared with written answers to these questions to discuss when we get together at our Q&A follow-up meeting that includes interventions for children with persistent challenging behavior. So I'm just asking you to do a little bit of journaling, to write down your thoughts about what you think or how you think you would answer these questions.
Challenging behaviors can be described as 1. Physical aggression, such as hitting, kicking, punching, spitting, throwing objects forcefully, pinching, pushing, and biting. 2. Climbing on things in the classroom that are not permitted. 3. Destroying property or destroying what another child is working on, regardless of the other child's response. 4. Taking toys away from another child forcefully. 5. Running that poses a safety risk for the children or others, or elopement from the classroom. 6. Tantrum behaviors that might include behaviors such as kicking, screaming, pushing an object or person, stomping feet, or headbanging. 7. Verbal aggression including yelling, threats, screaming at another person, calling children bad names, and saying bad words. 8. Ordering an adult to do something, example, leave me alone. 9. Persistent or prolonged crying that is loud or disruptive, or ongoing crying that interferes with the children's engagement in activities. 10. Inappropriate use of materials. Example, jumping off chairs, slamming materials, throwing objects. 11. Statements that are non-compliant. For example, I'm not going to do it, or clear and explicit verbal or physical refusals to follow directions. Or 12. Inappropriate touching, stripping, or other behaviors that are harmful, disruptive, or dangerous to the self or others.
The second item that is an interview item is item 13, connecting with families. There are 8 indicators ranging from COM1 to COM8. For item 13 interview questions, connecting with families, I'm asking you to be prepared with written answers to these questions to discuss when we get together at our Q&A follow-up meeting. And these questions include how you connect with families. Number 1, describe how you communicate with your families. What kind of information do you share with your families? Describe how you choose what methods you use to reach your families. Describe how you promote family involvement in your classroom. And 4, tell me what you do to make sure all families in your classroom can be involved. So remember to do this between now and our next meeting. Item 14 is the last interview section, supporting family use of the pyramid model practices. There are 7 indicators ranging from INF1 to INF7. Again, you will be asked to do some journaling on your thoughts about the item 14 interview questions dealing with supporting family use of the pyramid model practices. 1. What type of information do you provide to families about supporting their children's social emotional development at home? 2. What type of information do you provide to families about addressing challenging behavior at home? 3. Tell me about the role that parents play in supporting their children's socially emotional development at school. And 4, tell me about the role that parents play in supporting their children's challenging behavior at school. So remember to do the journaling on those 3 items, 12, 13, and 14. And bring your journal with you when you see us again so we can talk about your answers and brainstorm together and collaborate. We're looking forward to seeing you.
Items 15 through 31 are red flags. Here is another to-do activity to bring to our follow-up Q&A session. Take out a blank sheet of paper and number it from 15 to 31. As I read them to you, answer yes or no to each of the following questions, as each relates to you in your classroom. 15. The majority of the day is spent in teacher-directed activities. Yes or no. 16. Transitions are more often chaotic than not. 17. Teacher talks to the children in primarily giving directions, telling children what to do, reprimanding children. 18. During group activities, many children are not engaged. 19. Teachers are not prepared for activities before the children arrive at the activity. 20. Children are reprimanded for engaging in disruptive or problem behavior. Frequent use of no, stop, and don't. 21. Children are threatened with an impending negative consequence that will occur if disruptive or problem behavior persists. 22. Teacher reprimands or admonishes children for expressing their emotions. 23. Emotions are never discussed in the classroom. 24. Teacher rarely encourages interactions between children during play or activities. 25. Teacher gives directions to all the children in the same way without giving additional help to children who need more support. 26. Teachers tells children mostly what not to do rather than what to do. 27. Learning centers do not have clear boundaries. 28. There are large, wide open spaces in the classroom where children can run. 29. Teacher reports asking for the removal of children with persistent, challenging behavior from the classroom or program. 30. Teacher makes comments about families that are focused on the challenges presented by families and their lack of interest in being involved. 31. Teacher restrains a child when engaging in problem behavior or secludes the child in an area separate from the classroom where the child cannot see the activities of the classroom.
Okay, item 32, using effective strategies to respond to challenging behavior. Now you know what challenging behavior is. So if any form of challenging behavior occurs during the TPOT, then we will be looking for 3 items. Every time challenging behavior occurs, these 3 items. You must have all 3. SCB1, the teacher implements developmentally appropriate strategies such as redirection, planned ignoring, in response to the challenging behavior. SCB2, that the teacher also responds to children by stating the expected behavior in positive terms, like what to do, or providing instructions in an acceptable alternative behavior. And SCB3, that the teacher provides positive attention or positive descriptive feedback when the child begins behaving appropriately. So for example, a teacher asks a child to return to the bathroom to wash his hands after toileting, and the child responds by shouting no and pulling away from the teacher, and the teacher blocks the child from leaving the area and restates the request. In response to the second request, the child drops to the floor and begins kicking the teacher, and the teacher responds by saying, "I'm going to wait until you're ready. You must wash your hands before playing. And don't kick me. Kicking hurts." The child continues to kick and shout for a few seconds, and then stands up and tries to move the teacher. And the teacher offered, "Why don't I help you wash your hands?" The child responds by moving toward the sink. The teacher washed the child's hands and provided a paper towel to the child to dry his hands, and the child leaves the bathroom and returns to play, and the teacher leaves to prepare a snack. Now, in this instance, the teacher scored a yes for SCB1 and SCB2 and a no for SCB3. Now, do you know why? Because she forgot to give the child positive feedback to let him know that he decided he wanted to play and he washed his hands in order to do so. You have to have the follow-up of letting all of that go when the child does what you've told them to do. And they've done it, and so now we have to let that behavior, that challenging behavior, go and be able to give positive descriptive feedback to the child to reinforce them to do it again because it's the right thing to do.
Steps to best practices. Number 1, employ evidence-based practices. Pyramid model, high scope, PQA, and Eckers. 2, conduct behavioral analysis. Informal and formal data collection from student observation and teacher self-reflection. 3, embed training and coaching. Support from your coaching team, which is comprised of the lead teacher and PERT. 4, accept building the capacity of the teacher. Teachers should incorporate the coaching team support plan interventions and materials into their daily practice, building their teacher's bag of tricks. This ensures referrals won't be for the same repeated issues with different students. 5, implement explicit teaching and instructions. Both evidence-based practices, see step 1, and individualized support plans, see step 4. 6, monitor progress continuously in the classroom and with individual students. 7, documentation, documentation, documentation. If it isn't written down with dates, it didn't happen. The next few slides are what have come to be known as the crosswalk. This document is included in your resources for your reference. It clearly illustrates, as promised, the overlap between TPOT, PQA, and ECHRS. Although not included in this document, HighScope's core items under Approaches to Learning A through C, and especially Social Emotional Development items D through H, also overlap with TPOT's items. Again, as I said in the beginning of this presentation, try not to become exhausted by all the different program acronyms. You are already doing them. They, the publishers, are just calling the same concepts by different names. The trick here is to know that, and now you do. By planning your lessons efficiently, you can address several of the curriculum requirements and all at once. Now let's review if we covered all of the objectives. Participants have become familiar with the Teaching Pyramid Observation Tool, TPOT. Check. Participants have gained a better understanding of how implementing TPOT key practices reduces challenging behaviors and the need for child study team referrals, which is the goal of the TPOT in the pyramid model. Check. Participants have recognized the overlap between TPOT, PQA, ECHRS, and HighScope's core items A through H. Check. Participants have reflected on their own practices by journaling on 3 TPOT topics for the Q&A follow-up meeting. Hopefully check.
Valerie and I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all, and we look forward to answering any questions you have at our follow-up Q&A session. And remember to do a little bit of journaling on those 3 items so that when we get together, we can brainstorm and discuss, and you might get some good ideas from each other, and we'll be able to answer your questions, and we look forward to seeing you. Bye-bye.
These are the references used to complete this presentation.